Okay, then we call the meeting to order. Have anything to add to the agenda?
No.
All right, would somebody like to move the agenda as presented? Larry? Any questions, concerns? Anybody else have anything? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And then we'll move to accounts payable.
Receive for information.
Kathy? Any questions, concerns? Chris?
Whereabouts? Right at the top here, full burial to cremation refund. What does that mean?
I would say somebody bought a whole plot and then figured out they didn't need it, and cremation plots are more economical
They went with cremation instead, okay,
than a full burial site, so they downsized.
okay.
Change your mind.
And very, yeah, I don't feel like that.
I think somebody else changed their mind.
And,
Deceased didn't.
Well, they might not be yet.
Oh, okay.
could be. And why is the GST broken out on the fireworks?
I was gonna ask the same thing.
Because we get it
Good
back.
for you.
As a town, we don't have to pay GST.
But we don't break out GST on other things, or do we just not get charged GST?
It wasn't charged on the original bill. They just charged us the services and didn't include GST. So then they came back and said, you owe us the GST. So
Oh, okay, which is a wash for us. We'll just get right back anyways.
correct.
Okay, so it is abnormal.
Anything else?
Done.
You're done? Okay. Wait. All in favor of receiving for information? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, and we move on to delegation. This would be you. I was looking for your name. Sorry.
This would be you.
Mr. Shackleton.
Oh.
But I know his whole name was in here, Stephen Shackleton.
Yeah.
Yes. So you asked to speak to council and I know there were some anomalies when you came in, so.
Yeah, I'll address the payment issue first, since that's the most pressing. I didn't find out about that until Thursday, when I found out when I would have to be at this meeting. And I just don't have the $100 to pay for it. So would I be able to make payments on it at another date, or?
Well, I think for now, you are here as a delegation. I think going forward with just depending on what council decides, then because technically to appeal that remedial order, yes, there would have to be payment, but I think what Shannon allowed by putting you on the agenda is you will just be given a chance to talk.
Yeah, would I be able to still make the appeal later on, or?
I think you and administration would have to deal with payment, right? Because it was missed when you first came in.
Yeah.
I think there could be some allowances made.
Okay, yeah, because I was here on Friday and they told me I'd have to bring it up with you guys. So,
Well, because technically we could say, well, we don't want to hear you because you haven't paid.
okay,
Or we can just listen to you.
okay.
Without a fee?
Yes.
So I wouldn't be able to get anything changed tonight, or? Well,
That I could say. Because council can make motions.
oh, okay,
So I think it's probably just easiest and quicker if you want to just have your say right now.
well, I'd like to keep some of my vehicles. I'm willing to put a few of them into storage. But I don't really like parting with my vehicles, and I tend to work on them as projects. But between COVID and bipolar, my depression and finances really haven't allowed me to do any work on any of my projects. And a couple of the cars, they just need to repairs to get back on the road. Like the Tanalero, it busted off the mount for the steering rack, so I got to pull the engine just to be able to get at it to weld it back on, or pull the underframe that the engine sits on. So it's not a small amount of work, and with depression, it's really hard to get anything done. But I develop a very emotional attachment to my vehicles, which is why I don't like to get rid of them, because they're like my children to me, or my significant other, depending on which one.
So. I think what you were given was, this order was that you remedy some of the situation by sometime in August, right? 24th of August.
Yeah,
You weren't given a ticket or a fine.
No.
You were just told to clean up. So, and I also know that our bylaw guy is done now, right?
yeah,
Yeah, which doesn't mean this can be ignored. But on the other hand, if you can make some improvements to your property in the right direction, that's like a show of faith.
yeah.
But I don't think you can just ask that everything be left as is.
Oh, I'm not asking that
Because-
everything be left as is. I'm just asking to be able to keep some of my vehicles. That's gonna put a few of them in storage to take care of the vehicle problem.
Well, I'm sure Barry gave you possibly a copy of the unsightly premise bylaw, and like, so vehicles that are partially dismantled and all that kind of thing.
No, he never gave me a copy of that.
Valid. Do you have Wi-Fi and computer?
Yes,
Because if you go to the Town of Red Cliff site, you can look up the unsightly premise bylaw,
Mhm.
and it'll show in there, because it's not like you aren't allowed to have vehicles in your yard. There's just a limit, and then none of them are supposed to be dismantled or missing parts and things like that, right? And I'm not gonna say you're not the only guy in town. It's just he started, and there's probably quite a few lots in town. Even by his report, I think he's given out a number of these. So again, we've worked with people in the past. And I think, I can't speak on behalf of administration, but if you make an honest effort to do some cleanup, that's steps going forward.
okay, I guess I'll have to try and get by my depression then. It's a really tricky thing. It's been
Well-
rather severe.
Yeah, because we don't have any provisions to work around something like that. Like, this was an order written to do some cleanup. If nothing happens, then it gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
Next step is uglier. Yeah. And like I say, I don't know if this doesn't say that everything had to be done, but there is a list of things that he said that had to be done, right? Like, there's scrap metal and lumber and wood and broken items and furniture. Like, so that means a general yard cleanup.
And then the weeds and then the vehicles.
And remove all weeds and grass. Old vehicle parts and scrap material from the back. So, yeah, I think it's only a matter, all intact vehicles, if they were not on the street, I don't know what the number is that you can have on a lot. I don't.
It's 6 or 7. One of them is possibly abandoned, though I'm still trying to get the bill of sale for it, but
Yeah, if you had another place to put them and do some yard cleanup, I think some of this stuff would be showing faith that you were trying.
okay, would I be able to get an extension on the 24th deadline just so I don't get my vehicles hauled away because I need money to be able to afford to get them in storage and be able to put some in there.
Well, I think that's something that probably you would probably have to ask us and then we'd have to make a decision. Right now, me talking to you,
Mhm.
I'm only one vote here.
Yeah,
There's
would I be able to get
here
an
tonight.
extension then? I'll ask.
Okay, well, you can ask and we will have to deal with this just after your presentation is over.
Oh, okay. Administration, I would just come in, say tomorrow and ask to speak to administration about this, payment for,
Go ahead, Shannon.
There would need to be a motion that if you're going to accept late payment of the fees or in payments, that would have to be part of your motion. Or we would need some direction. That isn't something administratively that we can make that choice on.
Okay,
Have we ever done payments for something like this in the past?
Not that I recall.
Okay, so no precedent, whether it's 2 payments, 4 payments, 100 payments.
I don't recall, no. Typically, it's the payment of the fee is subject to then being able to carry the appeal.
Then, of course, it gets refunded if he's successful.
does anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Chris.
I do, how much of an extension would you need? How many vehicles could you get rid of? What would be your plan? What would you do with the time?
well, the time is basically to get to payday because bipolar, so I'm on AISH, so I'm gonna get paid once a month. So I just need like maybe an extra week or two to be able to have the cash available to be able to get 3 or 4 of the vehicles into a rented storage lot.
Okay.
Since since they can't be dismantled, the one with the dismantled front end, I guess I'll have to make one of those that go into storage. But yeah, that's what I need the extra time for mainly.
Yeah, a week or two and you can get rid of. How many vehicles? Did you say how many vehicles you can get rid of into storage?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, 2 of them actually run dry. They're just not really possible to insure at this moment.
Run and drive, but not road safe.
Well,
No, they're road safe for the most part. It's being able to afford the insurance. Like I said, things have been a struggle for quite a while.
So what is the plan with these vehicles then? If you can't afford to put them on the road, is it fix up and sell or is it just you mentioned it's your hobby?
Well, ultimately, I want to just fix them up and be able to drive them.
Okay, all of them is the plan to have all of them insured at once? And
Yeah,
okay,
long term, but I'm having problems with being able to get on monthly insurance at the moment. So, and pay for a year, $1,000 all at once is kind of hard to do, so.
Yeah.
But that was actually my original plan, was to insure a good chunk of them and then be able to register them, and then they're registered vehicles on the lot.
anybody else have any questions?
Do you have any registered vehicles now?
Yes, one, but it was in a car accident. I'm not too sure if it can be repaired. It's gonna be one of the ones that I was, gonna have moved into storage until probably spring, when hopefully I'm feeling a little more energetic, and then I can fix it and get it back on the road. But until spring, I'm not really gonna be on the road. So it's registered right now, but it won't be at the end of October when my registration is up.
It's one of these vehicles on a lot now.
Yeah. It was my daily driver.
Any other questions? Somebody like to move if we receive that for information? Larry?
Let mom make
Can we, well, and I
Move
think,
it afterwards.
I think that would probably be better.
Okay.
Receive it for information and then any actions after that.
Okay.
So, any questions or concerns about receiving it for information? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried? Okay. Now, if somebody wants to make any other motions,
I'll make a motion that we grant an extension of 2 weeks to Mr. Shackleton. And as far as payment, I don't know if you really need to appeal it because you are going to,
I would just, they already came to talk to us.
yeah,
Well, the order says I have to get rid of all the unregistered vehicles, which is why I really needed the appeal.
so it's in your hope then if you get rid of some and make the property more sightly that the appeal would then be successful.
Yes,
okay, so I'm not reading that in here.
It's on the very last line of the folded
Okay.
blue letters there.
Remove all unregistered vehicles. So I guess the smashed out one could technically stay according to this.
But it's gonna, like he says,
But it's gonna
because
cause
his
a
last
problem.
name starts in S, it expires in October.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's only got another month. of-
and then it'll be just like this, the rest of
Right, so it will be a problem. Okay, so I'll make a motion to grant 2 weeks extension to give you time to clean up the property and then to waive the $100 fee.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks a lot.
Well, it hasn't happened yet.
Well, thanks just for trying.
Is everybody clear on what Chris moved? Any questions or concerns?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Does that mean that all vehicles have to be off the lot then by the end of the month, or if he moves one off and then we're good again?
Well, the way I interpret it is then there's an appeal, and if he's made significant progress to making the property look more sightly, then we can decide that.
Or Barry would, or administration would be able to work with them on.
So not necessarily have to remove them all, but it needs to look okay. Needs to be acceptable. Is the way I interpret it. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's what I gathered from tonight.
Then there should be some adjustment or variance to the order, because as the order states,
It says remove.
it says remove.
Oh,
Do we need to adjust that or can administration adjust that?
No, we have to vary this.
Oh, okay.
That's why they're, just like MPC hears appeals and SDAB hears appeals, council hears appeals on these kind of orders.
Okay,
So that's why there is normally a fee attached to this.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So
Okay, so I
That's
will,
good, that's the appeal then.
this technically is the appeal. Yes.
so in my, I know the way, what Jim is saying, I know his thoughts on the remove of all vehicles because I just heard him. But in my mind, if this property looks presentable, there's 1 or 2 vehicles on it. I think as long as it looks presentable is the main thing. So I'm not personally stuck on all that, but I'm just one. Jim votes the other way. What's the,
Well,
I know we could just vote on it, but
I think what Shannon's asking for in your motion before we vote on it is for rewording of,
right. And I'm just determining in my mind if I'm gonna reword it or not.
oh,
So you say right now you have 6, maybe 7 vehicles.
I think it's 7, 8 if you, actually 7 might be including a motorcycle.
he lists them.
There is a motorcycle listed later on, yeah.
yeah,
One unregistered car, 2 light duty trucks, 2 other cars.
Yeah, the motorcycle I just gotta put into my shed.
According to that.
No, then there's 3 in the backyard, so 8.
Oh. 9 vehicles.
8.
Counting, I'm counting tires piled as a vehicle. I'm
So I
sorry.
say my math is 8.
Your math is better.
So you say there's 8 vehicles, including the motorbike?
Yes,
That's
According
yes,
to the
definitely
list.
the tires.
on page 2.
She's got it on the screen.
Well, I'm just.
So what's everyone's consensus? Two,
I think as long as if there's some that are smashed up or torn apart or whatever, because the bylaws in particular are most.
Yep.
And, aesthetically wise, those don't look very nice. If there's a couple on there, that registered or unregistered, I don't know if I'm really hung up on that, as long as they're off the road or right of way or boulevard. I guess there's technically a boulevard there, but there's no gravel road. But
to shorten it up, are you okay with a couple as long as it's
Yeah.
aesthetically pleasing?
Yeah. And like all of the weeds and garbage and all that stuff.
Doing the bike?
Well, the bike is gonna be completely out of sight. It'll be locked up in a garage.
Okay, then that solves that one.
Yeah,
Does everything remain the same until the last statement about vehicle?
Yeah, the actual yard cleanup and scrap stuff, I agree with.
Yeah, I agree too. Weeds, we're very particular on in bylaws. That's easy enough to get the weed whipper up there,
Yeah.
lawnmower, whatever the case may be.
Oh, like I said, sorry, but depression.
Well, and I understand that. We don't mean to put more of a hardship on you, but on the other side of things, this is also a several year long negligence as well.
Yeah.
So there must have been some good days in there, but I don't mean to.
Well, I have
And then-
taken the weeds down before. It's just this year been rather harder.
And I appreciate that you seem to be willing to work with us.
Well, I appreciate that you're willing to work with me too as well.
Nothing's happened yet.
Well, you're still entertaining, it's still better than nothing.
So what I'm hearing is 2 vehicles that are not dismantled can remain on your lot. The rest you'll have to find a different home for.
Okay,
And a grant extension of 2 weeks.
I think I'm comfortable with that motion anyway.
September 7th.
Till September 7th. yeah.
And then, yeah, that was part of it too. So a 2-week extension, waive the fee. And
No more than 2.
no more than 2
and
vehicles.
clean up the scrap.
And, well, yeah, but that's all part of the original. We didn't change any of that. Just getting rid. Yeah. So is everybody clear on that motion? Okay,
You got it.
Yes.
so all in favor? Opposed? That's carried.
fantastic.
Now you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much for coming up.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you like.
It's fascinating.
So fascinating.
Might as well.
Okay. Moving on to minutes. Council minutes of July 15th. James? Questions or concerns?
Is that James?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just wondering how we're coming on replacing the heaters.
Well, that can happen later on in the manager's report.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's where that
Should we sleep from home? You missed that part of the meeting, Larry.
That's why I want to know.
We'll talk about that later if that's okay. Because that, we all want to know. We're all inquiring minds. Anybody else? Okay, except Chris. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Then the special council meeting of July 23rd. Larry?
It's not a special council meeting. I couldn't. Oh, tell it.
That's a special council meeting. Oh. Where was that? Right, working.
Yeah, right. Jim was apparently working too, so he showed up 12 minutes later.
No questions? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And then the Town of Redcliffe Library Board meeting for information.
Jim, you made it up to this one.
This is so long ago, he probably doesn't even remember. Jeez, what is this, May?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to ask questions about something that happened 6 months ago. Anybody have any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, moving on to section 4, bylaws. We have bylaw number 1974/2024 being an amending bylaw of 1957/2023 being the land use bylaw. Here for first reading.
I'll move that we give it first reading and just note the compass direction in the motion here. It changed to southeast, not northeast.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Larry?
Yeah, because we're going to go down this path, I just want to make sure that if people aren't assured that they're going to be able to build an eightplex on them.
There's where, that's a question that I wanted to ask, but I don't see Brian here tonight. Because with this new land use bylaw and the new classifications, like I think you can build a duplex in our general, right?
But not.
So when now to move from our general to our multi, it's almost like the sky is the limit.
Well, this is what I'm concerned with because we do change it. It's not that we're denying, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're giving permission for anything.
Right, except
Well,
we
you
won't have a say in it.
application.
Well, we won't have a say in the permit.
No, but that would still have to fall within the boundaries of all the setbacks and lot size and whatever. Because didn't it mention in here that there was something about so many meters squared per parcel or?
Per unit, it doesn't say that. All it says is how big you can be on your parcel.
Yeah, and this could be an eightplex here.
Well, he's asking for a 6 or an 8-plex, which I thought was, I wouldn't have a problem with a 4-plex, but
No.
I do have that's a lot of people to add into a block right next to an existing 4-plex.
Well, he did mention in there that there's adequate parking according to him, but that's more of an NPC thing than.
Well, and
Decide, isn't
in the new land use bylaw, they may have reduced parking. It used to be 2 parking stalls per unit. Obviously, there isn't, because otherwise he'd need up to 16 parking stalls. And he said it's all in the back. Well, I don't know if you can get 16 parking stalls in 75 feet. I guess that's pretty small. It's a motorcycle.
Is this property right next to the old Roman Catholic Church?
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's the empty lot.
Yeah, it's just 2 doors down from your house.
Mr. Doc,
You can't say that.
put that many vehicles in 16 spots.
Yeah, you know.
It's only a double wide lot.
It's a 75 footer, so it's a triple lot is what this is saying. It's a 75-foot lot. And
But even a 75-foot lot,
The set with the normal setback.
Well,
Well,
10 times 8 is 80, but I guess you can park in less than 8 feet. Yeah,
Oh,
so it's like 75 footer. I would
but you
say,
can't open the doors.
well,
That's about it, yeah.
see, there's where, as counselors, we were not gonna get a say in this. It's kind of, once we go down this changing the zoning rules, but you can't build a 4-plex in our gym. I believe a duplex is as high as you can go. They're both in here.
I was just looking for that.
So this bylaw is here for first reading. It will go to NPC for their comments. And then we will schedule a public hearing so we can have additional information brought forward.
So I guess, Larry, that's maybe where you could find out what other input can be along the way, like you're on NPC. Yeah, Jim, because, yeah, I don't have a problem
Yeah.
with these guys having multi-dwelling on a 75-foot lot.
But not, it doesn't give them permission because they say they're gonna put an eightplex. And then we say this and then we're condoning an eightplex, but that's not really what we're condoning.
No, we're just starting the process to get it so he can go larger, I think, than a duplex. If
Yeah,
we can find it,
Under our gen, discretionary use is a duplex or semi-detached.
Yeah.
But no multi.
right. And then the next step seems to be the sky's the limit.
Our medium residential medium dwelling district permitted uses dwelling multi-unit.
And we're apartments, I think, too, are allowed there. Yeah. No, you can go to quite a few.
I just did the math. The lot is just big enough to do an apartment. It's twice the size that you need for what's considered a multi-unit. For the minimum size. The minimum parcel size is 500 meters squared, and they have a little over 1,000 square meters.
Yeah.
If that's 150 foot deep lot.
Well, it wouldn't be.
It's 130.
130 is the old,
Okay, so
so 75 by
They'd be about
1.
1,000 square meter.
By 11.
Well, no matter what we say, it still has to comply with the land use bylaw.
So yeah, they couldn't put an apartment on there.
That's on a square meter and square meter.
Something like that. But if you round off the corners, then you're okay.
It's only 905 square meters. So
Round
they couldn't
square
do,
meter.
you couldn't do an apartment, but they could do a multi-unit, but what's the definition of a
There,
multi-unit? What's the
like I
definition
say,
of
even that, like, when I looked at this, I didn't have a problem with the change, and then I went, oh man, but then what does that really allow? Does the neighbors get a say in this? But this is after first reading. Yeah.
And allow our offer to attend the, public
But
hearing.
once we rezone it, then there is no say.
Is it at the discretion of the development officer, or if it's within the bylaw, then
Once we
we
do
just
it,
have to approve it?
If it fits within and it meets all the criteria,
Then it's just rubber stamp.
Yeah, like I say, it's it seems to go from this to this in a hurry.
That's the limit.
Like, we used to have 4 designations of,
Well, what if we rezone to a DC then?
that's not what they're asking for. It's not what they're paying money for.
Guess we could vote it down and then follow that.
Yeah.
No, we don't have to vote it down at today's step though.
No,
There's no mention in the new land use bylaw about parking spots per,
I
Per
think
dwelling?
it would be addressed in the legislation.
yeah.
It didn't include that in this information, but
no, and that's fine. Again, we're way too deep in the thinking process. You gotta
We're gonna deal with that.
You gotta remember, yeah, that's true. Get that on paper.
Tom, can you write that down?
We're way too deep in thinking.
Yeah.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay, James made the motion. All in favor of first reading? Opposed? Carried. All right,
Yeah. you're gonna do 4
let's
based
not
on-
get into the planning.
I'm just reminding these.
Okay,
It still takes up parking spots, so it doesn't matter where they're.
requests for decisions. RCMP multi-year financial plan for consideration. Go ahead. Any questions or concerns?
We talked a while back about, do we actually feel like we need 8 officers because town's been operating with less than that. We've been paying for that, but we've only had on average 5 or 6. And so I know that it came up, we've discussed it. I don't remember honestly what the general deal was for it, but do we need, like, because we're signing a 5-year deal here, or we're authorizing a financial plan, sorry.
Yeah,
Next slide.
just a capital financial plan.
Sorry, that was the wrong
But
word.
if we want to decrease the amount of soldiers out there.
Yeah.
To say, that's more of a budget time thing.
Okay. Well, budget's also coming up. in a couple
Yeah,
months.
but that's not this.
But this is here, so what is the flavor of that? Because like, that would affect multiple things, and I think in here, because obviously it would be cost per member, that would be whatever that is. And then as you get down further for equipment and whatnot, then that would reduce.
Expensive.
Yeah, like, because I was reading through it, and I was like, holy smokes. New outfits, new body armor, new
Yeah,
riot
new
shields, new guns, new tasers, new. And,
I think
and
we're
obviously a lot of those are pool costs, but some of them are direct costs too, right? So,
Well, it depends on, some of these are per officer.
Yes.
And then some of them, like they're saying, 2 ballistic shields per department.
yes,
Maybe that would be 1 county and, 1 provincial and
Yeah.
1 us. And not everybody gets a rubber gun, a rubber bullet gun, and
well, and then their
and
vehicles.
everybody
too,
gets a
they have
taser and everybody gets a pistol and everybody gets new ballistic
Body armor.
body armor, and then everybody gets a camera
Radio and
and cell phones, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that pools on top of them, and Shannon and I met with Michael, and Michael isn't the author of this, right? He's just relaying it.
Yeah.
And we asked him some questions because, well, one of the questions I just about asked was, what does the base fee include anymore? Because right now it seems like everything and anything is an extra.
Base fees just salary, it seems like.
Well, but then we're definitely paying more than salary in that.
Well,
case.
salary. But they're not charging us for the asset, they're just charging us salary.
And then another thing I noticed in here is when you get right down to the almost last page, when they're showing you the quarterly payments, those actually aren't real, because that's only based on 6.5 guys. That's not even based on 8 guys. Because when you look at your 4, well, they got almost a 10-year, they got a 9% wage increase over the past 2 years. It's actually over. They're in negotiations again, and they're saying expect 4
Per year.
per year. And then the taser lease is 5% increases per year. And when you start looking at all these, I understand exactly what you're asking. At some point in time, we may not be able to afford to have 8 people. And if you read Facebook, well, they're not out there anyway, right? They just happen to be.
Well, I'm not saying they're not out there, but,
No, but, and then
Corey's
we got
been in
people
here.
that think that we should hire more, because then we'd see them. And it's, I don't think they understand what it costs just to have these guys here.
Cordy's been in here and saying that they have a hard time getting officers and recruitment's down and so on and so forth, so.
Yep.
And I don't know if I've, in 3 years, ever seen that we actually have full staff.
I think
80
just when
right
he
now.
says we have 8, somebody else
Yeah.
needs to leave.
Yeah, and so do we actually need 8? Do we want to be paying for 8? Because we could drop probably $140,000, $150,000 a year,
175.
yeah, in costs.
well, if somebody's on leave, like say like mat leave or whatever, we still pay for that officer,
Yeah.
don't we?
We pay for some of the leave, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we pay the overtime.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
But it
it,
depends on the lead.
but it would be no different than just our regular town employees. If they're off on sick or they're off on.
Right,
this, or they're
no,
off on
yes,
that, It's exactly the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
except for it's worse here, that when a town employee is away on leave, we don't need to have equipment sitting on a shelf for them, accruing costs by having it sit on the shelf.
Or cars sitting in the parking lot.
Yeah. Like there's costs to having these people on leave over and above their wage.
Through the chair. I don't think there's much we can do about that, but the way I look at it is we're looking at $200,000 a year increase. Typically,
At least.
at the way it is right now. So if we want more, can we afford more? This is costly already.
Yes,
Well, that's why I'm wondering, do we want less?
like last year was 1.6, was it, Mike?
No, we budgeted, sorry,
1.4, I thought it was.
Well, I think that's,
our budget was just under 1.3.
but was that with the provincial rent coming off?
Yeah, so that was in 2023. That whole true up that we had to do with.
No, but like the provincial officers pay rent on the building, whereas the town officers don't. Like the rent we get off that building.
Oh, yeah, that's, we do get, the lease revenue, it's like $150,000 a year.
Yeah, but I thought our policing costs were about 1.6, with the rent off, we were about 1.3. No? Okay, then I'm wrong.
Just the cost for the officers is the 1.3.
To the chair, I don't think a lot has changed, like our population hasn't increased much. Nothing has changed, so I know people don't want less. Maintaining the same is actually gonna be a hardship, I think, and I don't think we go extra.
Well, that was the thing. They say we asked Michael some questions. Like, I don't, like, when he goes into the pool, I don't know what Red's share of that pool is, because that pooling is all over Alberta. So we're a small part of it, but what is that part of it?
Does it go on per populace or does that go on over 5,000?
Exactly, or does it go by officer? Like, is there 300 officers in Alberta and we have 8? Like, I don't know how it goes. So all those darn pooling numbers don't mean much to me if I don't know what our share of it is. And then, of course, there are the actual hard costs per officer, like changing from the gray shirts to the blue shirts. They went from a $35 shirt to a $70 shirt, and you need 10 of them a year per officer. So that's $5,000 in shirts.
That we have to pay for.
Exactly, that's on us.
Yeah.
And that's what signing this does, is it says that those capital purchases that are possibly expected over the next 5 years, we're okay with. And some of these have been here for years, like the replacement of the 9mm has been here for as long as I have, and they still haven't done it. They haven't found a replacement. The body cams,
That's been there for.
that failed, so they're testing out different stuff. But the tasers have actually shown up.
Yes.
Till he says he's got a full contingent of tasers, just not everybody's had the training to be able to take them out of the building. So about half the staff have the tasers. So, and even that, every time they sold us something, they had to be trained on it, and then in the end, they have to be trained on it again. They don't remember.
And we pay for the training as well.
Totally, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, like I say, I don't know, I also don't know what's in the base cost of an officer.
Right.
If everything is over and above, then what's included? Anyway, so those are some questions, and then at
Is he
the
gonna bring those?
AUMA, we have asked for a meeting with the higher ups in the RCMP world too, K division, just like we had in the past.
White shirt.
All the white shirts, yep. There's even gonna be a new white shirt because Ken retired, or Zablocki, he's retired and works for the province now, so. And so some of these questions we can ask them there too, because yes, for a small town, this is expensive. What,
So I have not received any additional information yet. I do know that Staff Sergeant Cordy was going to reach out, potentially see if he could get some of those questions answered, or to set up an additional meeting that we could speak with them. But yes, he is away from the office this week.
he's actually taking holidays. And then the reconciliation that came in, I don't think it was as good as what we were hoping for. No, it was dismal actually, but
What do you mean reconciliation?
well, because of our never being full contingent, they say that they reconcile
Oh,
and give us, because we're paying the contract, then they should be giving us
yeah, we
credit back.
brought that up with Cordy.
But I think, well, it was less than what we were all thinking anyway.
I think the last invoice you just signed, I think the credit was 35,000.
Yeah, it was 35,000, yeah.
Peanuts.
And that's for missing 2 staff members pretty much the whole year?
Well, yeah, something like that. Like, when you're expecting maybe 150 and you get 30.
And that's non-negotiable?
Well, that's their numbers, but I mean, when they start factoring in all these little pooling costs, like what did we pay for? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the whole bunch of this, if you read it all, was building middle management, right? Like hiring more
Yes.
finance people and more healthcare people and more, all those people. So that's a big balloon that must be in that base salary, right? So I don't know.
I thought that would come up with federal coffers. but-
Well, there probably is, apparently, they don't make money either. They tax us, so, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I think this still requires signing, but yes, there's also questions that need to be asked, and come budget time, we have to figure out what we want to do.
So question, so you say it requires signing. do we have to sign it? What's the consequence to just receive for information?
You don't have police.
He did indicate
Well-
to me that if there was additional questions tonight, we could defer it.
So is the mayor right that if we sign this, that we are basically saying yes, okay to this? To
Yeah,
all the
because
expenditures in this 5-year plan?
Technically, yes.
You are endorsing it.
That's really handcuffing, isn't it?
Totally.
Good choice of words.
They're the only police I saw.
Yeah, but
Feel smart.
basically they say this is our plan. Do you like it or not for 5 years?
Capital financing for 5 years. Some of it may or may not even come true.
Of course, yeah, but that's up to their discretion.
Yeah,
But
it's
we
at
don't,
their pace.
we don't have the ability to negotiate.
The only thing is, I think we sign this every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it says 5 years. It's a 5-year projection that we sign every year.
It's like what we do for budget.
So,
Yeah,
as
they
I know, I
come
signed
every
more
year.
than one of these. And so we do have the ability to change things later.
Through the chair. I'll make the motion that we sign it rather than kick the can.
James already made that motion and then it was questions. And that's where we are.
You in a rush there.
Anybody else have any questions or concerns? They're noted and we did ask questions, but I guess if you have more questions, let Shannon know. Because Michael will try to find some answers or else we'll try to get hold of Rita or somebody to get deeper. Like I say, next month is Red Deer.
Yes.
Not that they'll have the answers either, but at least we can tell them that we're concerned, like everybody else that sees them.
Just they're batter around their questions.
You think?
I think sometimes.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed?
The sound.
We're just having one of those nights. Okay.
I was closer to Jim.
Cypress County Development Permit. Cheetah food doing on my screen.
Boy. So Patrick.
Well, you're putting your password in. I'll make another motion then, I guess.
Motion.
I know. Well, no one else is talking.
Okay, now you're already.
So I will, I'll move option 1 there that we have no concerns. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Okay, preliminary 2025 budget discussion.
For information before James goes.
Chris? Go ahead.
The next year, if I'm reading this correctly, unless we tell you we want otherwise, we're just planning on doing engineering, planning on doing anything.
The intent here tonight is to get this on the table, to get everybody thinking. There's some preliminary discussions. There would be further discussions. But this is the information that we've had, and this is what we've used in the past. It's changeable.
Okay.
It's a trigger everybody to get thinking.
Okay. And a whole bunch of these are done and should come off the list, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are
Museum.
museum will come off the list, yes.
Well, Lions Park irrigation and pump abandonment, that was done years ago.
Okay.
By the other guy who gave $10 to. Still, the grass is not green, but it was designed by an engineer, knowledgeable on sprinklers.
Since we're talking about this list, has there been any success with grants for the rectangle?
The deadline to submit the CPAP one here is coming at the end of the month.
That's in the manager's report.
Yeah, I read that down there, but I was just wondering if there was anything else, because there were a couple different streams. Wasn't there one in the provincial governments come up with that new grant that was just for rec facilities, or is that the CFIP?
We were always going to apply for the CPAP. We were looking, if there was any other options out there.
I thought it came on there.
There was that one that I forwarded to you. Anyway,
Because when Danielle was here, She was talking about that they were doing one for rec facilities.
Correct, we hadn't seen it yet. So we've
Oh, I
watched-
thought they got released at budget back in March or April.
Yeah, there was one that came out and I forwarded it off. Because it kind of fit towards that, and that may be along the same lines of what you're talking. It was one. I don't know how much money you could get out of it, but I think it was what the province allowed was a straight amount, and so as soon as it got absorbed, it was gone. It's not like it was divvying it up everywhere.
Oh, it was just like, we have a pool of 28 million.
Yeah, here's-
Whatever.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Here's 10 million and
Numbers.
first come, first served. Yeah.
My next question is, are these listed in any particular order or is it just a list?
These are actually listed in ranked order from a couple years ago. So these
So
are,
the top of the list is more pressing, bottom of the list is least pressing.
Yeah.
Street 900.
Why do you get things added onto this list?
Just tell them you want it on there.
Well, yeah,
You're thinking your back alley?
Yeah. That back alley's been on for 25 years. It's disappeared now.
it's a problem solved.
Yeah.
I think the back alley is still there. I think with the project.
I think.
Oh.
I think I made that motion my first year on council.
Well, it used to be on my set, to be redone. But
Yeah, I think we voted to take it off. Those one of the ones that
we never voted to take it off. We never put it on.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Okay,
This is just a portion of the list of the highest ranking ones.
Yeah,
List.
list is several hundred, isn't
Your
it?
back alley is not important.
According to the ranking.
Do you have emotional?
so I think
Your back alley?
this is to get us thinking, and I guess if somebody has a pet project, then they should make it known too.
Yes,
Have you gone out to the public? Because every year we do that too, right?
we do have that, and it's on the website. People are able to put in their budget submissions. I believe you have a couple already.
I've got one so far, yeah.
What came in out of curiosity? I know I've directed a few people to do that over the year.
It was a paved walking trail down the old Trans Canada Highway.
Oh, you mentioned that?
Yeah, that's
That's the one.
mentioned in here.
I haven't brought that entire proposal forward, but
That's okay.
I just received it this week.
Where did you get the list of the complete list of them?
We'll get it a bunch of time.
The whole list?
We can bring that forward for discussion.
A GPC meeting.
Not that we can even afford this list, but.
It's a nice list.
Okay, well, like I say, the good news is some of them are done. And some of them will never happen.
The bad news.
Well, I can't say never because. You know,
That is bad
all the
news.
time here.
That is bad news.
What's bad?
You said the good news is some of them
No,
are done.
museum, that would be the state one.
Yeah, I said the bad news is one of them that's done is the museum.
Yeah,
Oh,
you should have stored down.
well, the flashing isn't done. You know, you guys, you got any left over?
No. It's too expensive as it is.
Okay.
Makes the museum look cheap.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to see.
Tell Dad to stop charging you someone.
I know how, I got the recipe for mud if you need to put.
Just talked to a new bricklayer today. It's coming in 2 weeks to finish it.
Yeah, yeah, okay, with Bud Lights.
Oh, this guy's not a drunk.
Oh. Jeez. So Chris made the motion. All in favor? And we're all thinking. And get your wish list into Mike or Shannon, I guess.
I didn't see an accessible playground on there.
Opposed? That's good. That's, it's in there somewhere. It's just not on this page. Because we applied for grants for that.
We did apply for it.
Are we successful?
I have not seen it.
Okay, request for tree removal. Jim,
Receive for information.
Is that option one? And further to confirm with the property owner of the property, that's the responsibility of his or her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's not a receipt for information, that's option one.
Option one.
But the first words of option one. are
Yes, is to
receive staff
receive the
for
report,
information.
right,
Yeah.
and then let them know.
Okay.
Those trees look like they've been there for a long time.
You don't get knock trees down in this country.
Oh, you
They're
do,
hard enough. Oh, and they're dead. They're hard enough to grow the way it is.
Well, you just told them that they can knock them down, but they just have to pay for it.
well, because I think what happened here is there was a windy day and a branch fell in her yard, and then all of a sudden she was wanting the town to take the trees down.
Yeah.
Because, you know, technically they're not hers, they're touching her fence.
Well,
And we don't know if the fence is on the property line. Has anybody done a real property report? What if the fence is 2 feet in?
And who planted the trees?
Well, we know it wasn't us,
Exactly.
because that was a private developer back in 1981. 81, the hell was his name?
Something ski.
Yeah, like
Bogowski?
no, it wasn't Bonagowski, but it was close to that. Because Ron bought a lot and built a house there for Florence. And I don't know who lived in that house first.
You don't?
No, I don't. Jim and Rosemary Hall were the first ones that I knew that lived in there, and then Mitch's mom and dad moved in there, and now I don't know who lives in there. We could always ask, Mrs. Davies, Miss Myrtle Davies, she's still around. She just doesn't live in the house anymore.
Anyway, this, on the long weekend, the branch broken, went into my yard down here on Third Street.
We're not cutting your tree down.
No, but I cut the limb off. But the tree isn't very strong, and it's likely gonna break now again. But do I just cut it off when it falls on the yard again?
Yeah, like where is the tree growing?
In the boulevard?
So it's your tree.
Well, I apparently it's right, this is my tree, but it's a memorial tree, and you can't just go and cut it down, it's not my tree.
Oh,
So, like even pruning, I was thinking, well, gee, do I phone the town and get them to do it, or?
Well, if it's an elm, you can't prune them right now. Even it breaking is terrible because that leaves the smell for the Dutch elm bugs to find it.
But I think the memorial trees belong to us.
Some town people planted them.
Yeah, anyway, the branch is cut off, but the tree doesn't, it's not very strong.
Yeah.
I didn't know the memorial trees went.
Yeah, no,
Off the
they
road,
did,
like
they
that.
did go down. Yeah, some of them are down there.
I didn't realize that.
Well, ran out of places to put them all. So there were a few of them, but the town normally hires people to prune all the ones up and down Broadway, right? So I guess they should have looked at those. I don't know when they were pruned last, I don't. I'm amazed that one time they scalped them down the stumps and they all came back. I was really impressed.
yeah, that one time they were, horrible.
But these, if they were probably planted by the original, I don't think they were planted by the developer, but they were probably planted by the original owner. And some people don't realize that trees grow up. And some people plant right next to their house and then they wonder why the darn thing's rubbing after 20 years. Because they,
Or why the roots are, going into their foundation.
yeah,
Sewer line.
yeah, that too. Anyway. Okay, so Jim made option one. Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried.
This is. That's what it looked like. I cut it off. But it is a memorial tree, and I'm not sure that you're allowed to even do that.
You shouldn't be advertising that you cut an elm tree.
But what are you gonna do with something like that?
Yeah, gotta do something with it.
Oh, wow.
Oak Bluff is the official answer.
Yeah.
That's an abandoned car.
I'm like getting arrested for this.
Yeah, that's,
Get the handcuffs.
we'll visit you once a month.
And bring donuts.
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
Grant funding opportunities.
I'll make option number 1.
Go ahead.
So, reading through this, just to make sure that I understand this correctly. We're not paying anything unless they're successful.
That's correct.
And if they're successful, they're taking 10% of the first million and 5% of anything past that.
Yeah, correct.
So are a lot of other municipalities going with this? Is this basically going to be the wave of the future?
It's kind of going that way. They're able to manage and monitor so many more grant programs than we can. Like they have almost 9,000 that they're monitoring daily.
See that, yeah.
There's no way that any staff member could ever do that.
So what percentage of the municipalities in Alberta are using this right now? I'd be your guess.
Don't,
But when I was looking at their lists of people, they mentioned a few Alberta towns, but a whole bunch of these are Ontario and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But there's Drayton Valley, because they mentioned a few places.
I really like this, but I think the value is if we're one of the first and then has more on board, then it really goes down.
So you're worried about the Ponzi scheme?
No, it's no Ponzi scheme.
The chair.
Go ahead, Larry.
One of my concerns is like we get grants at the beginning of the year, municipal grants and stuff like that. Do they take 10% of that too?
That was
Well,
my question too.
I actually asked Mike that and he said, no, if they're coming to us on our ask, like the MSI and those kind of things, the federal gas tax, those are ours, right? We get those. These would be grants that we tell them to look for. We pick a project, say the arena. And we say, find us money for a new refrigeration plant. And they apply and get grants, they want 10% of that.
Okay, because I read that in here that they kind of get their.
Yeah, that's what I was reading this too, and I'm going, okay, what am I missing? Because I'm kind of skeptical. But he's assuring me that that's not the case.
it's not the case.
So if we go and get our own, or if we go and get our own grant, it doesn't go towards this.
Doesn't go towards
So
this
it's
at all.
just grants that they apply for, that they're successful
That-
for.
Or they steer us towards, because they say there's some grants that they know of that prohibit paying a third party. Like, so they might send us there. They might say, you should apply for this grant. Well, then it's, we owe them money.
Yes, they have any part in,
Just like a real estate agent, that's how you may as well treat this is if they found you a buyer or a seller,
That's
they
a
want
good
a chunk of
analogy.
money. Like, to me, that's what this is. And in real estate, they say, well, we want 4% for the first 300,000 and then we go down to 2. And this is exactly what these guys are doing. It's 10% till after $1 million. So they want their 100,000 up front. And then after that, they're willing to take only 50,000 on the second million.
So do you see this being widely beneficial to us?
Realistically, if we got any grant money, it's beneficial for us. Because we're only paying 10%. We're 90% of that money is free money that we wouldn't have had access to otherwise.
And if they apply for the grant, they're unsuccessful, we still do not pay.
We don't pay anything.
Basically, would you trade $1 for a $10 bill?
It's only if we get secured funding. It's not when the application's in, it's secured funding, so we're guaranteed to get that money.
Yep.
And we can always say no. They can find us a grant. For example, I use the walking trails as the best one because it's from unrestricted surplus. So we're paying that much money regardless. If we got any money for it, it's free money. It costs us 10%, but it's essentially free money.
And I agree with what Chris is saying. If everybody in Alberta jumped on this,
It's free tonight.
it would be inundated and we'd be sitting in almost the same boat. But again, it's still not going to cost us anything until they deliver.
Right.
So there's not really too many
Downsides.
downsides to it, other than, yes, you're losing 10%. And so there may be some grants that would frown upon that 10%, so we'd actually have to pay them out of some other budgeted part, right?
And that wouldn't void us from that grant?
No, because
We're not-
we wouldn't show it as that grant would actually go towards the project and we would owe them that money.
Well, if this were the private sector, I would say, yeah, that's the way you do it. But being the public sector, Is that
Kosher.
kosher? Is that ethical?
Okay, why is it unethical?
Because we truly are paying them for it. And the grant would say you cannot pay a third party.
And yet the province wouldn't complain at all if we hired a grant person in our employ and the taxpayers pay for that the whole. Well, they do. They got grant writers, but we're not big enough to have grant writers. So this is like hiring a grant writer on the spot.
Without having to pay a yearly salary.
Well, you have to pay every time they deliver.
And sorry, Chris, I think what Dwight's trying to say is when you can use that expense sometimes in a project as an administration expense, and the grant can also fund that 10%. There are some grants and
Montreal does that. with
That
other
won't-
grants.
there are some projects that or grants that won't let you do that, but some actually have an administrative portion. So if you get $1 million grant and your administration of that's 100,000, your grant will eat that
Allow.
up. So now you're actually not out any money.
Okay, so it's
But
not,
those are few and far between, but I think that's where Dwight was going, that it's not funding that portion.
okay, so it's not, being sneaky.
No, not at all.
Not really.
It is an accepted business.
Yep.
Model.
Yeah, like if we hired a $70,000 person to write grants, we don't know how much they could find for us. They might find us millions and they might have a bad year.
But we're still paying 70 grand.
Yep.
Whereas this way, we're not paying that
We're
70
only
grand.
paying when there's real money.
Okay, I love it.
And I also read through here and there's no end. It can be ended whenever. We just don't tell them to apply for any grants and it's over. Because they only go looking if we tell them to go looking.
And they'll only apply for grants if we give them the go ahead.
Would they say, hey, Town of Redcliffe, we came across this one. I think it would work for you, or do we have to make that first?
No, they would come to us. If we gave them a list of our projects, they would go looking for grants for all of those and they would come back and say, hey, we found you a grant for your.
Oh, so we can give them a wish list.
The idea is we'd give them next year's capital budget at budget time, and then they would have all of that time. So if there is something that we're funding from reserve or from unrestricted surplus, and they find us a grant for it, that just saved us all of that reserve or surplus.
Okay, now would that stop us from looking for the same grant?
No, we can still go and look on our own. Like CFEP would be another one that's out there. If we did a water project, we can still go for Water for Life or the Alberta WWP. We can look for those grants because we know they exist, but we don't have access to all of the grants that they do. And if we find one on our own, then they don't take a cut.
Okay.
Seems like over here.
Well, yeah,
Seems-
those always worry me.
Like, that's,
Yeah,
I get that business
But
model.
but
The
it's,
center's using something similar.
Is it?
And it's working.
yeah, it might work out great.
So we can cut down their funding.
No.
Oh.
Okay,
Just kidding.
any other questions or concerns? Kathy, all in favor? Opposed, it's carried. And lead bank services.
Authorize administration to sign the lead bank service proposal from Service Credit Union for the extra $235 a month. Seems like a great time saver.
So is this actually an extra charge, Mike, or will some other charges come off? Like monthly fees, like
No, this is an additional
this
cost.
is totally additional.
Yeah.
There's also a one-time fee, right?
There is a one-time implementation fee, but that falls within this year's budget.
And that'll just save us doing reconciliation here. What does it save us?
So basically what we do right now is every day we get faxes or emails, or we have to log into each bank individually to see what customers from that bank had paid the town the previous day. This takes all of that away. So if someone's on vacation and you lose a login for Scotiabank, now we don't have access to that information until they get back. So, and there are some banks that don't pay us very regularly. We might get a payment every month or so. And so there's usually like an audit trail of a number, but we might miss that because we didn't get the fax for whatever reason. So then that payment, they get a penalty on their bill. They call us and say, why did I get a penalty? I paid you on this day. We have to then contact all the banks to see where it came from. It's a ton of administrative time for little, where this will just say every day we get a report from Service that says all of the money that hit our account that day. Here's your report. It's all there.
Oh, okay. So they're just amalgamating all the inflow.
Yeah. So instead of
Just sending you one. You don't have to check the other banks at all because
Yeah.
everything that comes to them comes to you.
it's one point as opposed to
Yeah.
different
I
methods.
see what they're doing. I was
Yeah.
tough time figuring out.
Yeah, so for $230 a month, that's like what, 4 or 5 hours of administrative time.
Yeah, it's just
Depends.
1 hours.
It's 3 hours of Mikey.
He's overpaid.
You said it.
Make a motion for a pay cut.
Would you accept Wendy's gift cards in lieu of pay?
Freezy.
The Frosty.
The Frosty. Yeah. All right, Chris made that motion. Anybody else have questions, concerns? All in favor? Opposed, that's carried. And Alberta municipalities, Jasper Fire Caring Community Fund. I don't know if you guys all got this email too from our illustrious president. I think it's here hoping somebody will just move it for information.
I'll move it for it.
Chris. Any questions or concerns? Why?
Huh?
Why? It's for information.
Well, I have a question.
Yes, Martin,
Because it notes in here that there's a fund established. Do we have any money in that fund?
Not us.
No. And am I reading this wrong then? Yeah. Councillor Brown moved to establish a $5,000 fund for donations and or special requests for support and sponsorship called the Council Initiatives Community Support Fund.
We do have a budgeted amount in which council can decide whether or not they want to put a contribution to.
Okay. So there is money in the fund.
I don't believe that they've,
$150 was used last year and we haven't allocated anything yet this year.
Okay, yeah, go on. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. That's right. You can give all you want. There's
How does that help people?
exactly. Don't walk outside. It's predict with thunderstorms. You smoke like lightning.
Like you had closer to the clouds.
And it's shinier, but he wore no insulation.
He wore his light blue shirt tonight.
What does that matter?
I see a lot more blue on these days than red. I feel like maybe.
I can switch. Okay, policies. Policy number 60, the charitable donation tax receipt.
I'll move that it be approved.
James? Should be no question. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried.
Feel I should move this next one.
Chris,
You know, I feel like I was gonna nominate.
number 76. Well, he's got 4. That's like almost an act of heroism. Or is it Harryism? No.
I feel like we need to mark this date out on the calendar.
Okay. Any questions or concerns on that? Being none, all in favor?
On that topic, I was gonna take this guy back, stay the cat the other day.
It's carried.
Yeah, I like that. See it.
Yeah, I'm more of a dog person.
Policy number 107, the local authorities pension plan prior service buyback.
As presented.
Kathy? Do we have to, Mike? How come they don't go the whole thing themselves?
I was wondering the same thing.
Like, why isn't just you buy your first year 100%? How come we're so nice?
It's just not something.
We could change it
He
right
ran
now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You could change it.
reason.
But that's not Kathy's motion.
Yeah, it's gonna change.
Okay, you guys ready? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. And policy number 117, phase out of the penny consideration.
I'll move it for option one to approve the policy.
Do we really need it still?
Isn't it a federal law?
Yeah.
They did that?
It's a federal recommendation if you read it.
Yeah.
Oh, does it say?
Hopefully we don't have to.
I want to piss off Mr. Trudeau.
Well, no, you could do it any way you wanted. You could say, we always round down. Right? Like if you go to Canadian Tire, they just round down.
No, I didn't realize that. I thought the feds put out a law that said 13579 round up, 2468 round down.
Well, you do that again and figure out why they would do that.
But balances out.
One,
One,
three,
two,
two, six, six, one, three, five, seven, nine, I'm going, okay, you got both ends of the scale and you round up.
Yeah, so odd round up, even round down. I thought that's the way it was when.
No, the closest to the 0 or the 5 or the 10.
I get what you're saying. I see what the policy says, but I'm gonna look it up. I'm pretty
Okay,
sure.
you do that, but on your own time.
Can I have a recent?
You're losing your 4 quickly.
Okay, all right. 3.7. That rounds up.
All in favor?
Down.
Opposed? It's carried. Policy number 119, the external municipal planning documents review.
Option number one.
Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And policy 125, authorization to sign grant agreements. They're phasing me out.
I'll move that we approve as presented. I was gonna say, it looks like Shannon's trying to take more power for herself.
Yeah.
I see her some council.
Yeah. Yes,
Well, it does say already been budgeted and approved by council.
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, yeah. Boyd wants to put his fancy signature on the paper, not Shannon.
Any other comments or concerns? All in favor? Opposed? Anyone? Other?
Now, Larry, you can ask about the,
I'll move that we receive this for information.
Yeah, so 1 and 2 round down, 3 and 4 round up. That's exactly like ours.
Yes,
That was round down. Round down.
how is our swimming?
3 and 4 round up to $1.05.
This is the
I
fence.
would love to have
That's exactly like ours, my God, man. Okay, he's smoked down to 2 now.
Your dummy showing there, Chris.
Like you wore it all off in one shot.
You were doing so good.
Exactly, this and that are the same.
You need someone to read it to you?
Okay, we'll take a short break while Chris realizes it's one of the same murders.
Somebody send it back to primary.
Okay, all right, we're good. Okay, other municipal manager report to council for information. Somebody want to receive?
I actually moved.
Oh, sorry.
You're paying attention.
No, I was dealing with road counselors. Okay, Larry, ask your question.
How are our heaters doing in the swimming?
So the one in the large pool is still non-operational. The one in the kiddie pool is still operational, but both have been ordered and shall arrive in 2 to 3 weeks.
So how come there was a bill from Matron to service the pool boilers?
We were
Like if
troubleshooting.
they're not using wire, we don't pay more money to service dead boilers.
No, before it was discovered that they were inoperable, we tried to troubleshoot to solve the issue, so that's what that was.
Okay, how much was their bill to say they're dead? I
That
can't
was
remember.
in accounts payable.
I know, that was a month or so ago. So, and now we see these from Matron,
You paid 2 people.
2 months afterwards. Yeah. Well, one guy thought he could fix them and the other guy just said, holy shit, no. I know. Probably what he said.
On
You're
that
just
topic,
voting.
we talked a week ago or so about that lady, email, about
Yes,
getting refunded.
correct. And
I
I think
I just assumed it was gonna be on tonight's agenda and I forgot all about it just now.
I've gotten more than one of those,
Okay.
but
Well, you said you're gonna have staff meeting.
we didn't put anything on the agenda.
I was hoping to have something ready. I did not. we did speak on it internally. We did,
That's what you told me you were gonna do. I'm sorry.
yes, we did speak with the individuals that had contacted us, indicated that if they wanted to, wanted a refund for, remaining period and they don't longer want to use the pool, then we would refund that amount. But some of them still wanted to continue to use the pool, so, I guess it is, if you would like to bring something back to consideration of a percentage rebate or something, we can do that. But yes, it was internally that we would give rebates if are based on a prorated amount.
And then if they showed up, they would have to pay to use the
Correct.
pool.
Did they seem satisfied with that?
From my understanding, one of them was not, and I have not followed up on the second one that you had sent me yet.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if there was any others.
I just got the two. One went to everybody and then one came to me. And like I say, the letters were so close to similar, it was almost like deja vu.
And that's okay.
I received one other than the one you are aware of, and they were prorated for the month of August. It did not come back.
Okay.
And to answer your question about how much it cost to check the boilers, it was $165.30.
Okay, so the rest of those thousands was something else.
Yes.
It's the other thing, we just don't know. We look at that, we just don't know. Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead.
So it says here we still have 4 ongoing development enforcement files. Has there been any like movement at all on any of those, or has it's been that number for quite a while now?
There has not been any movement on those ones at this point.
See, we issued a lot of bylaw notices this month. Last month.
Yes.
Well, and he obviously went on unsightly premises.
Yep. Yeah.
As a monthly thing.
See, the trails are obviously done, and we got one email from an unhappy citizen.
Everybody
And
does that
someone
one.
posted on
Yeah.
Facebook that they were very happy about the trails.
There definitely is mixed reviews out there.
That's my neighbor. I only saw the one negative review. I've been out walking them and I only heard positive reviews.
And
There's
you
two
know,
negatives.
now there's probably the trail that I walk on, there's probably at least double the amount of use that there was before.
And is that a paved one now or is it?
Yeah,
They're all paid.
Yeah,
they're all paved.
Yeah,
And I get
I
nothing.
thought we had some sections that weren't.
No,
As far as I know, they're done.
No, but not the whole trail system though.
Yeah, we did.
Was it?
Kipling Riverview and
Well,
Just
Kipling was done first and then Jasmine was done second, right?
Oh, I
Correct.
thought that there was some that we didn't get done this.
No, they just did it in 2 phases.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I think Candu's still running around. I don't know, but I'm assuming they're done. They were just running around last week.
but they were loading up their packer the other day. I seen them, so
It was transit, wasn't it?
Was it
transit,
yeah,
yeah.
it's traffic,
Okay.
yeah.
driving past my house all the time?
At the risk of sounding like Chris here. Because I think I've asked this question before. There's a lot of projects on this project update list that are completed, but they keep coming back here. Is that just because it falls in the calendar year?
yes, those were the projects that were listed for the year. It's just to show you their status.
Any other questions?
Yeah, the Red Cliff Way lift station. What's going on with that?
I'm waiting for additional quotes from the rights to solve that. So I've
Can
gotten,
you elaborate? Because I thought that
Yes.
that was, you guys are gonna do a whole bunch of stuff that I,
yes.
It
so-
came in very high though.
Came very high. So for the preliminary budget discussions, we did get MPE to quote everything that we wanted to achieve at the Red Cliff Way lift station. From there, we rebounded that to a mill rate company to get quotes. That amount significantly dropped, so I'm just going to get additional quotes to concrete that, and then we will be proceeding.
what's happening with the has there been any extra information on the water intake?
Not currently, we are waiting for that submission.
And the mag meter?
Yes, so we have ordered a brand new mag meter to replace the current one. We have a temporary flow meter installed, so we are in compliance with AAPA.
And it's not tripping it out every
It's
6
not
hours?
tripping it out, no, so we concluded that it's not the panel, it's not the electrical wires, it is the mag meter itself. So that has been ordered, it should be here within 3 to 4 weeks. And then it will need to be installed and calibrated.
And then, history, because we added the extra work for that project, what are they kind of estimating for, timelines? to finish?
Mid-September completion.
Like complete? Okay.
I believe.
They probably have the main lines run up and down the street already. They're probably doing services already on that last
Well,
one.
they're done, well, they're done, but like.
Yeah, they're done. They were done the first two
On
blocks.
6th Avenue.
Yeah, from 5th to 6th, yeah.
501.
The last part of the project will be that third ave. And
No, okay.
Yeah.
4th Avenue.
no, so they added fourth ave, so they'll be finished that, but they have to still do the third ave intersection,
Oh, okay.
and then that's done.
Oh,
The machinery is pounded to the.
Yes, so, project completion is expected mid-September.
and I think originally it was forecasted for October, is that correct?
It was until we added the additional 2 blocks, and it was the end date moved to November 30th.
But now it's still in September.
Yes,
And do we know when, Boland's coming to do that portion?
yes, we reached out to them last week, or sorry, Monday. Sorry, last Friday, thank you. And they are looking into when they'd be arriving. So they are going to do pipe bursting. So normally the project was going to take 3 to 4 weeks, and now the project will take up to 3 days. And they're just giving me a time frame when the company will be here to do that.
3 days to tie in from the plant to the main street?
Yes. They're not doing full replacement. We've opted to go with pipe bursting. So if there is a cost decrease on this,
Line it, basically?
they're going to line it.
They pull a 12-inch pipe and
Yes.
break the old pipe, yeah.
Okay.
We watched them replace a water line by my place. That's exactly what they did. Yeah, kind of cool.
Any other questions from the report? All in favor of receiving information? Opposed, that's carried. And then council reports, has anybody been anywhere and done anything exciting?
I think the only meeting is the Entrepreneur AGM. Entrepreneur has been so successful with loaning out money that they ran out of money. So then they had to borrow more money to then lend out to keep the business model going. So I think that, I can't remember what the dollar value was. I think they approved up to $500,000 that local branch can borrow to then lend out because they've tapped their bank account. That's about it for Entrepreneur. They're very busy right now.
With the building.
No,
Oh.
no, not with the building. They've got the building still. They're still looking for a tenant in
I
the
see it's
building,
empty, yeah.
but the building's not losing money. Still pulling a slight profit. But no, with their, I guess, small business loans are in very high demand right now. For people that can't get.
What's the interest rate? Do you guys charge still 9.75?
It's going up because they have to, the policy says it has to be X amount, I think from,
We're 3% above.
yeah, from AD Canada, it has to end because prime's so high.
Yeah.
So,
But it's starting to drop now.
yeah,
So what is making the floating rate? This is the place to talk about that, I guess.
if you want to take the seat back, I'm willing to let it go in October.
No, I'm sorry, here.
They, no, the rate is I think on this borrowed money, it has to go up because, we're paying interest and then I don't know, it's 9.75, I think is what it's at right now, but then
But it's going.
it's going to be going up, I think, for this additional $500,000, just for people, for new loans from that.
Are you done?
Yeah.
The rural renewal steering committee that I'm on, I didn't have great things to say about it before because there were so few positions that were available, but now there's a new federal stream coming in that should open up a lot more positions.
This is the migrant worker one.
Yeah. So I forget the numbers now, but there was, I think we were on average to have about 30 for our region. And that's not the premise that I was going into it under, that we learned that we're gonna have about 30 for the region on average. And now with this new federal stream coming in, opening up more positions, it should make it much more advantageous. But I still question whether government should be involved in bringing workers to the private sector. I'm fine with government being involved with it, but I'm not so sure I like us putting money towards it. I thought there's gonna be a lot more positions available for the town, but nonetheless, we've committed money to it now.
And how long did we commit for?
Only a year.
I thought it was just a year.
Yeah, only a year, and I believe it was what, 8,500, 9,000, something like that.
Yeah, as long as we know, like, I guess, we'll, probably at budget time, I guess we should decide whether it's.
Yeah, and we've got to get 6 months notice.
Right, like, because we've had that same problem with Pat.
Right.
Somebody all of a sudden decided we shouldn't be there anymore, and then it was, well, you have to give me your notice. Well, okay, I guess we're there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And that,
just so we get our ducks lined up.
so I couldn't give it a glowing review before. It is better now, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Golf course 2, I already told you about that.
Yes.
About they're maintaining the leak in the pond, or how they're maintaining the leak in the pond. Okay, yeah, basically there's a leak in the pond just off number 1. Yeah, and so they've determined that they feel the leak is fairly high up on the bank. So as long as they don't stockpile a whole bunch of water, it's not leaking. So that's how they've decided to mitigate that problem for the meantime.
And do they use that water for their irrigation,
Yeah,
not just to have it on golf course?
right.
Are they building their accessory building?
The accessory building, yeah, it's, well, what can I say about that? Talk about that in closed.
Then you can't say much. Unless they've decided something open.
No, we talked about that closing. No, I guess I could say that the golf course is probably coming to us to talk to us about a loan for that accessory building. I think that's fair and safe to say. To see our appetite if we're willing to give that loan out.
Anybody else?
Seniors, center is going good. They had some loose fans there or something with wobbling fans. Did we look at them?
I do believe one of our staff members went to go take a look.
And they feel that the eave troughs might be full of leaves, but I don't know if we looked
I
at
think
it.
it's
Someone over
Yes,
there.
yes, yeah,
There was leaves in it?
there was leaves in them when we blew them up.
Okay, good.
Okay, nothing from Seawell?
Anything from Siwa?
Sink was doing fine. They've got grant money coming in, and to be honest with you, I don't understand much of it.
How's the regional water situation?
The regional one,
Water situation.
it's better than they hoped for.
Yeah, there's still some in the river.
There is.
Yeah, flowing almost 70 cubic meters per second.
Probably is not bad.
And what's acceptable again?
Well, I think we can survive down to about 45, 50.
Also,
Well, mind you, we were down there and she said we were still good, so. But I would think around there is critical thinking.
we haven't had any issues with the intake?
No issues.
No, and even these last little rains, they make little spikes into the flow, so.
See what next year brings.
That hailstorm in Calgary helped us out huge.
It all melted on the way down.
It was, it's funny how it just flows through a few days later.
Supposed to fly WestJet coming back from Ottawa, but I was told my flight might be delayed.
So somebody want to move those reports for information?
Sure.
Jim? All in favor? Opposed, carried, and then award of a four-wheel loader.
Option number one, receive for information.
Kathy? Is there a name of this thing other than just a model number? Because you have a supplier, but I don't think that's a real name, right?
Well, Google it.
Oh, I just didn't do that.
Wow. Don't be
I just thought I'd ask.
NHL.
Like, is it Dave Wu, a Hitachi, a Samsung,
The Hyundai.
It's
a Hyundai? Could be.
It says it's a Hyundai, yeah.
It does say that? Oh, then I read poorly.
Well, no, it doesn't say that there. It says it on Google.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, the model number just didn't, I saw Finning got kicked out, so I knew what that would have been called. Well, if you listen to a Finning sales rep, yeah,
It
and
says,
they have the highest retail selling price too.
it says right here that it's standard equipped with a full color integrated rear view camera.
Wow. Still, they'll see
When they're running.
possibly a pickup.
Yeah, before they run over.
Maybe the county.
Or not.
To get one of these from landfill.
Can you get them with proximity sensors? Yeah, they would break. So Kathy made that motion. All the smart comments are done. All in favor? Opposed, that's carried.
Well, the front end loader guy's not here.
And then landfill graphs. Larry? Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, it's carried. And then important meetings and events. Does anybody know of any that aren't on that list?
No GPC in September.
There was mention of a GPC meeting, which would typically be on the third Thursday, if we could schedule one for that day.
The week before AB meeting.
I think.
The week before AB meetings.
Yes,
Not having included summer at all,
So the 19th.
yes. But I need to schedule for
Send something.
Senate budget to it.
GPC.
This contract expires.
Do that some Saturday.
IMC's the week
Several
before.
years that just says what happened. He doesn't get a raise.
The week before.
I don't. You guys were, I mean,
That's where we did that course online for, raise.
GPC governance and priorities committee.
We haven't had one in so long, Larry forgot what they are.
that's to talk about big and looming things.
Yeah.
Outside of council.
Like your My Step list. Do you have things that you actually want to talk about that are pressing?
One would be budget, yes.
Oh,
That's on the agenda prep at this point, but there are some issues to
I
discuss.
guess.
What day?
The 19th.
It's 19th at 1.
Yes.
Today's the 19th.
So a month from today,
Should do that at noon.
which is my Thursday. So I'll have to add it in. Yeah, but that's in the morning, yeah.
So be at 1.
Yeah, that's what she said.
So
And,
Just not paying much attention. I know.
Really interested in that idea.
well, it's in there. If somebody changes their mind. Yeah,
I'll put it in my calendar.
it's been on there, it's written still.
What's the date on that again?
September
September 19th,
2024.
Thursday, at 1 to 2. That's a good guess, but it might take longer.
They've been going to, for as long as 4 o'clock.
Ooh, baby. I'll block out the whole afternoon. You could.
Okay. Somebody want, we moved that?
I stuck my hand in, oh, you, Darby.
Chris, all in favor? Opposed, that's carried.
And you say you want to go back on?
Yeah, we're ready. We voted open. We're just waiting for you to fire up.
Yeah, we're going to need one. Do that?
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we authorize administration to exercise Article 15 of the water billing bylaw and disconnect properties from the town's water distribution system until all current and previous utilities have been paid. This is all properties, right?
We'll be taking a look at them now, yeah.
On this list or even more?
Well, that's what I was getting at. Is it
Just this list for now?
Just this list from,
Nope, and that's fair. That's enough. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so everybody's clear? All in favor? Opposed? Carried?
PCA for
Is that the next one? Yeah, yes, yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay, I'll move the SPCA, enter the agreement for $5,000, not the spade. So that's a negative motion.
So to enter into accepting up to 6 of our animals for $5,000 a year plus.
With the following changes, number 2, right?
Do you want to include the termination clause, change of payment day as well?
Yeah,
To January 30th, yes, yes.
So there would be 3 points that would be added.
I guess they could say no still.
Then we'll be back.
everybody clear? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Other one doesn't need anything, or do we want to go 1, 2, or 3? Do you want to make everybody take holidays? Do you want optional
Oh, yeah,
holidays? Or,
For the
because there is 3 choices.
office closure.
I was thinking option number 2 myself.
Closed to the public,
Motion.
I was
That
thinking
they
option
can-
1.
they have a choice then. Of coming in or staying home.
No, I think that,
Well, that's what she just made it to.
okay,
This is what we did last year.
Yes.
I don't know how many people came in.
They said it was very,
Like staffing, or are you talking?
Yeah, staffing. Well, if it was closed to the public, I guess they couldn't come in, right?
yeah, I think we had 2.
2 plus I was here. And I don't know how many were in the basement, but up top was 3.
So do you want people here to answer phones, or is just kind of like you come in if you want to get some work done?
Even if you want to, get work done or take a holiday.
So that's what option 2 is telling.
what works best operationally for you. I don't know if we ever did ask for that.
My comments were is that here at the town office, there was very minimal phone calls. Or inquiries.
so there really wasn't a whole lot done.
It was working internally here, yes, that continued.
As far as public.
But if you're asking how much, how many phone calls there were, they were minimal. Like if you talk about from the outside public, we still worked internally.
And this is just for town hall. This is not
Just for
public
town
works. This is not landfill. This is none of that.
Still,
Just for bringing in here.
yes,
And so because town hall isn't closed, if everybody took vacation, that would also still be okay, right? Is that? If everyone said we want those days off, we're not
It
forcing it.
says requires minimal staff.
The option 2 says, but requires minimal staff. So somebody would have to be here to answer the phone at the very minimum.
Okay.
In case somebody phoned.
Okay.
That's what option 2 says. Option 3 says everybody has to take vacation days. Right. Well, right now, Kathy made the motion for 2.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody's clear? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Next year.
Great change.
All right, and then
Motion to sign a collective
MOU,
LOU.
letter of understanding,
LOU.
memorandum of understanding, I guess it's an LOU.
Well, it says LOU. LOU.
Well, obviously, they don't understand.
Oh, geez, Dwight.
Did I just say that out loud? You're just.
That microphone probably picked you up.
I sit beside you, I might get an errant bullet.
Okay, everybody's clear, all in favor? Opposed, that's carried.
That's what you're.
Ooh, look at that. 10 o'clock.
All right. Gonna go and see what